Good afternoon and welcome to the Midday News. Here's what we have in the bulletin. NHT forks out millions in compensation following November flood at Ruthven Towers. JCSA President O'Neil Grant says he won't seek re-election. And later in sports, West Indies bowlers fight their way back in their first test against South Africa. Thank you for joining us. I'm Shamela Pullen. Here are the details. New details this afternoon about the extent of the damage from the flooding at the NHT's Ruthven Towers in St. Andrew. Since the incident, the NHT has had to embark on structural changes to prevent recurrence. The issue was raised at this morning's Standing Finance Committee meeting in Parliament. O'Shane Masters reports.
Just under $50 million has been spent by the National Housing Trust, NHT, to replace vehicles which were damaged by floodwaters at the Ruthven Towers in St. Andrew in November last year. It's understood that 14 vehicles were damaged from the floodwaters in the underground parking facility at the complex. The NHT Managing Director, who was questioned by the opposition spokesman on finance, Julian Robinson, says most of the claims brought against the Housing Trust by the residents have been settled. But what's the cost?
I do not have the exact amount, but the last check, it was somewhere in the region of about $44 million. When we went to the board and the insurance company, we were looking at just below $60 million. We are significantly below that amount, and we have 3 outstanding claims to settle. When those are settled, we expect to be below the amounts approved.
However, Mr. Robinson wanted further clarification.
So the insurance company has covered, it's 2 separate things. One is the rental of the vehicles, but the replacement, your insurance company has covered those costs. So it hasn't been out of pocket for NHT.
Right. The NHT arrangement is that the first $30 million is self-insured. The first $30 million for any one event. So the first claim is on that $30 million. Okay. Of course, we can only do it based on the approval from our insurers. So it is handled between our insurers, the brokers, and the assessors.
But has there been any infrastructural changes to prevent a recurrence? Martin Miller says yes. He says following the flooding, some redesigning work was done.
We will be replacing that gate with a wall, and we expect the reconstruction to commence in another 3 weeks or so.
The wall being referred to will replace this gate. As for other issues identified,
all those issues have been settled.
Everything, all the other issues have been settled, right, to the satisfaction of the residents.
To the best of my ability.
O'Shane Masters, TVJ News.
President of the Jamaica Civil Service Association, O'Neil Grant, says he will not be seeking re-election at the end of this term. Mr. Grant, who has been in the position for close to 12 years, says he will be stepping down from the post at the end of May.
I have run my course. This May I've been 12 years as president. I would have signaled 2 years ago that I will not be seeking re-election at the end of this term. And so in carrying through on that notice, I am not seeking re-election. And so at the end of May, I will be stepping away from the office of president, and a new president will be in place.
An unidentified body was found along the Appleton Estate Main Road in St. Elizabeth Wednesday morning. According to reports, the body was discovered by a passerby minutes after 6. The police were alerted. The body was seen in a burnt-out Toyota Wish motor car. No motive has been established for the killing. However, the police say they're following strong leads. This brings to 2 the number of bodies found in less than 12 hours in the parish. The Ministry of Health has inked an agreement for historic introduction of electronic health records to Jamaica. This will allow health workers to access patients' records easily. A ceremony was held at the Spanish Town Hospital yesterday. More in this report. For years, there have been complaints about the loss of critical information in the health system because of poor record keeping. It's why the Electronic Health Records EHR system is seen as a game changer in the public health sector.
It means that where you go, your records and your history, your health history travels with you. And we cannot overemphasize the benefits of that. You saw on the screen the paper-based filings and the fact that these things get lost, misplaced. But even in the best of times, it takes time to retrieve, to assess, to study. And oftentimes, sometimes, for whatever reason, there may be missing pieces of data, depending on where you are, where you went first, which health center.
Under the system, patient registration, appointments, and assignment of patients in the triage process will be done electronically. This, according to the health minister, will equate to reduced wait times.
A seamless interface of critical diagnostic imaging that will enable doctors to see x-rays and CT scans on computers and tablets that have already been provided within these facilities. Upload and sharing of health record dockets within the public health system, enabling health professionals to trace patient history to see interventions. And of course, this will mean shorter time for diagnosis and for treatment. There are other critical things that will be features of this new dispensation, which will make it game-changing. But ultimately, it means nothing if the patient doesn't benefit.
In the next 18 months, the system will be rolled out in 13 public health facilities across the country.
It's a phased approach, so others will come. St. Ann's Bay Hospital, Maypen West Health Center, Chapperton Community Hospital, Maypen East Health Center, Mocha Health Center, Greater Portmore Health Center, St. Jago Park, which is right next door here, slated also for major upgrading, Old Harbor Health Center, St. Ann's Bay, Ocho Rios, and Brownstown Health Centers. So these are the initial brick-and-mortar infrastructure spread across 3 critical parishes, hospitals, and health centers, which will be impacted very positively by this new EHR system.
The EHS is being financed under the Inter-American Development Bank's Health Systems Strengthening Program to the tune of $50 million. The National Solid Waste Management Authority will be embarking on a major waste disposal initiative in Kingston. This initiative kicks off today. The details in this report. It was hoped that when the National Solid Waste Management Authority rolled out the 50 garbage trucks, this would have put an end to the garbage pile across the country. While there have been improvements, the NSWMA has had to go back to the drawing board. Come March 1, the agency will roll out a new initiative dubbed Klean City, starting in Kingston.
This is, of course, at the back end of serious planning and meetings. I mean, the first meeting was at the Rock Hotel. We brought several stakeholders from the churches, the business, the leadership of the ground, the political people. Everybody was in the space. JCSA is a big partner in this also. And we had a very, very good meeting where people put ideas together. How can we get this done? And the important thing is that people are willing to put their hands to work. We see people want to come together on all levels to do this.
The project will be spread to other parishes to ensure that these areas remain clean. Mr. Gordon says awareness is critical.
But if enough of us say take it up.
Exactly.
If enough of us say that's not cool, right? It's not cool to do that. If enough of us saying it's clean to keep the place clean.
Yeah.
It's cool to keep the place clean.
Yeah.
It's cool to pick it up. Get back to the time, pick it up. And take it up. Even if somebody drop it and they're not responding, you go to and say, look, I'm not going to allow this, and take it.
Yeah.
The more you start to do that, you begin to isolate those litter bugs, and you're on your way.
And with more resources, including garbage trucks available, the agency has been seeing a reduction in the number of complaints.
Once the government gave us the 50 trucks, we roll out, we got them the 30th of November. December 1. we were out in the community, and within 3 weeks we pulled all the backlogs out the system. And now we are running right across Jamaica. We are running an average of once per week collection. Where there be some areas where we're probably a little bit tilting a little bit towards a little more than once, but we have cut a lot. The complaints are down by about 60% right across the country, and we will get another 50 trucks in this new 23-24 budget cycle.
It's now time for the Business Minute.
Digicel founder Dennis O'Brien could lose his majority shareholding in the company after an agreement was reached in principle on key terms for a proposed deal with approximately half of its bondholders. The deal will see bondholders swapping their debt for equity in the company. The telecoms provider says since it completed the sale of Digicel Pacific in July 2022, it has been actively engaged with its key creditors. It added that while parties initially sought solely to extend the maturity of bonds due March 1, 2023, the deteriorating and unprecedented situation in Haiti since September 2022 led the company to shift its focus to a more holistic solution for its capital structure. The proposed transaction would, if and when consummated, reduce the group's consolidated debt by approximately $1.8 billion and reduce its annual cash interest by approximately $110 million, while ensuring sufficient cash to fund operations and invest in key growth areas. Further afield, China is accusing the US of abusing state power to suppress foreign firms. This after the White House on Monday gave government agencies 30 days to ensure that employees did not have the Chinese-owned app on federal devices. The order follows similar moves by the EU and Canada in recent weeks. TikTok has faced allegations that it harvests users' data and hands it to the Chinese government. The company says it would never comply with an order to transfer data. And that's it for the Business Minute. I'm O'Shane Masters.
And here's a preview of what's coming up in this evening's health report. In this evening's health report, we look at nosebleeds.
One of the things that I have to mention with children is that they could actually have conditions that they're born with that actually predispose them to having nosebleeds. So, for example, we know that there are some things like hemophilia and other conditions that affect the functioning of the platelets, which are important in clotting. And these conditions, which we call congenital problems, can predispose to bleeding.
That's the health report in Primetime News at 7. And now for today's healthy living tip. Avoid picking your nose and keep your fingernails short. Blow your nose as little as possible and only very gently. Keep your home humidified. And wear a head guard during activities in which your nose or head could get injured. And now for the top regional and international stories.
In the region, the St. Lucia Parliament has given the green light for the island to have the Trinidad-based Caribbean Court of Justice, CCJ, as its final and highest court. According to St. Lucia's Speaker of the House, Claudius Francis, the requirement was met when all 13 government legislators voted in support of the motion that had been tabled by Prime Minister Philip Pierre. Therefore, St. Lucia becomes the fifth CARICOM country to make the CCJ its final court, joining Barbados, Belize, Guyana and Dominica. On the international scene, Hong Kong has ended its COVID mask mandate, a restriction that's been in place for almost 3 years. As of today, masks will no longer be required outdoors, indoors or on public transport. According to Dr. Karen Griffin at the University of Hong Kong, face masks have played an important role in reducing community transmission in Hong Kong. She says now that almost everyone is vaccinated and most people have also been infected with COVID-19, dropping the legal mandate is well past due. She adds that people can now do their own risk assessment to determine if they want to wear or not. At least 36 people were killed after 2 trains collided head-on in Greece on Tuesday. Officials say the trains were traveling on the same track for many kilometers before the incident occurred. Greek Fire Service says rescue efforts are still underway and the death toll is also expected to rise. The circumstances that led to the crash remain unknown. And those were the top regional and international stories. I'm Hal Shane Burke.
We head to a quick break. When we come back, we'll have your midday sports report with Jordan Fort.